Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. If you would please put your palms together for a meditation reading. There are only two mistakes one can make along the road to truth: not going all the way and not starting. Words of the Buddha. If you would please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 This past month, I have been traveling, going to meetings, being guest speaker, and I was a guest at a special observance. I've gone to Berkeley and went to Fresno, and then I went to Gardena. Well, down south, I decided to extend my trip a few days. And I got to watch movies, which I never do. And I got to also sip on root beer floats. Well, I watched this movie called The Sheep Detectives. It was a cute little movie. It had humor, mystery, suspense, and it had emotional aspects to it. And I saw a lot of Buddhism. So the story is about a sheep herder and his flock of sheep. Okay? Each night, this sheep herder would read them mystery novels. And the sheep had a very blissful life. And when things got unpleasant, they willed themselves to forget. On a count of three, 1, 2, 3, they forget. And like human nature, these sheep had their prejudices and discrimination and judgment. They were prejudiced against an orphan lamb because this lamb was born in the winter and not in the spring. One day, the sheep finds the sheep herder dead outside his trailer. And the human authority speculates that this herder committed suicide. But later, evidence showed that the herder was poisoned. Some of the sheep made a decision, and it was to solve the mystery. They had been read whodunit novels for so long that they had the material to solve. They thought they could solve this mystery. But for safety reasons and to extend their investigation, these sheep had to cross the road. And never having to journey far from their meadow, the sheep, had to make another decision. Some of the sheep, of course, willed themselves to forget and went back to their blissful fields or pastures. But the sheep detective, her 2 cohorts, and the orphan lamb would take their first step across the road. So, this movie dealt with making decisions, taking chances, talked about conflict resolution, trust, support of each other, friendship, death, and of course, prejudices. All conditions a human life through sheep form. It also showed how preliminary judgment, prejudices, and discriminations can prevent us from seeing and knowing others. The sheep will themselves not to see, causing conditions. They had rather want to forget or not deal with it at all. These sheep personify human nature. The first line of the three treasures states, "How rare and wondrous it is to have been born in human life. Now I live it." How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma. And now I hear it. I take refuge on the Buddha. I take refuge on the Dharma. I take refuge on the Sangha. The sheep herder is not a Buddha. However, he had compassion. He was wise, and he cared for his flock. The sheep listened to his teachings and his readings and found ways to use the readings of the mystery novels. And the sheep came together as one, and they learned as a community or Sangha. These sheep learned to truly see, learn, hear, and mostly to depend on each other for support and to widen their thinking. You know, it's just a movie. Yet so many humans, traits that we as human are afraid to explore, understand, deal with, and think about. But how fortunate we are to be born into human life. For we have Nembutsu, Namu Amida Butsu, for comfort, guidance, and direction. If you would please join me in Gasho. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. And thank you for listening today.